Solutioneers. I know I promised a video a week, and I know it's been probably 4 or 5 weeks. I've posted one video and then forgot about it. That is not what the intent of this was. I was intending on doing a video every single week. To be blunt, I was sick, not sick, but I got massive eye infection. My face blew up. I looked like the Hunchback of Notre Dame from the Disney film. It was a point where I went, I just don't feel comfortable going on camera. If I'm being really honest, there's an element of vanity in all of us. That's my element of vanity. I've still got a bit of an eye infection left over. It is what it is. But that's the reason why I've not been around. What do I want to talk about today? It's really funny. I was debating what I was going to do my next video on. And it kind of put me in a paralysis where I went, what do I talk about? What do I want to focus on? What do I want to kind of have a chat about and get people's thoughts on as part of this and as part of the community? And so I've been thinking about that. What do I do? What do I talk about, this, that and the other? And I thought, well, I could start talking about lessons learned from the deep dives. But, spoiler alert, if you are not a part of Sean Lay's informal procurement group, go and jump on it. A couple of facilitators and I are going to be doing a bit of a session in July, 9th of July, we're going to be doing that. Talking about lessons learned, the things that we've found. I have, at this point in time, in late May, I've talked to around about 1,000 procurement professionals over the course of the last 12 months. I've talked to suppliers. I've talked to thousands of people at this point about nothing but public sector procurement and the Procurement Act, and similar for my facilitator colleagues. So we are going to come and share some of that, some of the things that we've learned, some of the themes that we've seen emerging, some of the fears, the hopes and the dreams that people have got. So I will plug that and push that. Second thing I'm going to plug, if you haven't done so already, can't stress this enough. There are some spaces left on the deep dives. I don't know if everyone's thinking these are going to continue past the 4th of July. They're not. They're not continuing after that point. This is free training, public sector people. It is only for the public sector. Apologies for suppliers who might see this and think, oh, I'll go on that. It is only for the public sector. It's intended to try to get them on the right path with using the Procurement Act. That's what we hope for. That's what we're aiming for. Talking through some of the challenges within that space, maybe dispelling some of the rumours and the fear-mongering that goes on. If you haven't gone on the deep dive yet and you want to, you are not restricted. No human should stand in your way. So if you would like to and you're struggling with how to book onto it, I can make sure that you get on it if you've got authority to do so. So if you want to go on the deep dives, you want to book on, reach out to me, reach out to any of the other facilitators. We've got a back door. We know how to make sure we can get you on the deep dives. Tell your colleagues, anyone who needs to come on this, tell them to get on it. We have literally got until the 4th of July. There are some spaces left. They're not running them afterwards. This is not a joke. This is not a drill, people. There will be no more after this. So do please make sure that you book on. Take the advantage. All of the facilitators are incredible. They're incredible experts at what they do. You will not be disappointed with the deep dive. 93.3% satisfaction rating. Hello, when does that happen? It never happens. We're brilliant, all of us. So get involved, get engaged, come and talk to us, come and get engaged. All right, that's the plug for all the stuff I need to plug. Third thing I'm going to plug. Because it's not the plug. That's not the end of it. I'm going to plug loads of shit today. Third thing I'm going to plug, communities of practice. Be there or be square. There's a forum. Did you all know there's a forum? So, community of practice, if anybody's in the procurement space, again, this is for buyers, this is for contracting authorities, this is for public sector. Suppliers, I'm really sorry, we don't have one for you. If people would be interested in that, by the way, reach out. I don't know, maybe I'll set one up. That could be kind of fun. But for the moment, we've got one for the public sector. There are webinars in there. There are guidance documents. There are links to everything you could possibly need. There are contact details for people to reach out to. If you're in the procurement space in the public sector, if you have a login for the Government Commercial College, Google Government Commercial College, log into it. If you don't have a login, speak to your SPOC. They should be able to help you with this. Log into it. When you log into it, the e-learning is in there. So hopefully if you've done the e-learning, you'll already have your login. There's also communities of practice. Go and find it. Put it in the search bar, communities of practice. You will find the COPs. In the COP space, there's the communities of practice forum, like Reddit, but respectful, and useful information and not just nonsense. And also, I love Reddit. I love Reddit. It's great. I think of it as somewhat like the Daily Mail for social media. Full of nonsense, but it's great story time. Oh, and then there's the webinars. Beautiful thing about the webinars, not only can you see what's coming up in the next few months, you can also see the webinars that have already happened. And despite me saying this in every cohort, they don't do it at double speed, someone's fixed it. You can watch some of them on double speed now. It's incredible, especially for a person who consumes a lot of YouTube content like me. Double speed. It's the shiz. It's what we needed. We were waiting for it and we've got it. Thank you so much for whoever has been involved in that decision. We appreciate it. So the webinars are on there. The slide decks are on there. There's also questions and answers logs. Ooh. Now this is where it gets quite interesting. So they haven't published all of them yet, and I am very curious to see the one that's going to come out about below thresholds and dynamic markets, because I can't ever go to any of these COPs. They're always on Tuesdays through Thursdays, which is a bit of a nuisance because that's the days that I deliver deep dives every week. So I'm never available to go to them. So I watch them on repeat afterwards. And then I have to wait weeks for questions and answers to come out. So the questions and answers on that one, when we're talking about dynamic markets, below threshold, I think that's going to be an interesting Q&A log. I can't wait to see that one. In the interim, I've been checking out some other Q&A logs. There was a really, really good one, which is, apologies for looking to the side of me, I've got another screen here. I was looking at some of these questions from the Q&A in relation to a competitive flexible approach. It was interesting, and I was going through some of them. There's some standard questions that you might expect to see. Are we going to have an event on below threshold? It turns out, yeah, we did. That happened. E-learning's ending. Is there a future programme? Watch this space. But no confirmation. And I've had no confirmation in the background either, so it is a case of watch this space. We don't know. And then I got down and I got to question 8, which was a corker of a question. An absolute corker. And I read it and I went, this deserves a video, because I think this is a question a lot of people will be asking. And I think that this is also a question that a lot of people haven't recognised their responsibility in resolving. So if I can work out how to edit the question on the screen, I'm going to put the question here at the bottom, like a little snippet. The question is, do GCF actually believe that SMEs are going to bid on a multi-stage competitive flexible procedure procurement project and that they will have the resources to do so? I thought that was a brilliant question. And I understood the intonation that sat behind it, because I've been that person. And if this wasn't how you intended it, dear person who posed this question, my apologies if I've got this entirely wrong. But I suspect that you were sat there with a degree of incredulity going, come on, do you really believe that they're going to have the time and resources to be able to do this? This is insane. And, Cabinet Office have come back and given all the standard spiel, and we care about SMEs and we want them to be involved, yada, yada, yada. And they do. Can I stress, they do genuinely believe that. They're not paying lip service to it. They really want to open things up for SMEs. They're really curious as to how they can do this best. And a lot of the design around this from policy people and things like that has been with that in mind. So please don't be thinking that they're sitting there creating all this tortuous stuff without any sort of consideration of how it might land. They are. Here's the thing. Do GCF, aka Cabinet Office, aka government, actually believe that SMEs are going to bid on multi-stage CFP procurement projects and that they'll have the resources to do so? I talk about this a lot in deep dives, and I've really, the last couple of months, really, really focused on it. The thing about competitive flexible procedure, early on in one of the cohorts, someone said this to me and it's stuck, and I've shared it with every single cohort, and apologies, I can't remember who said it. It was really early doors, like June last year, and someone said, oh, Faye, it's like the Build Your Own Adventure books. And I was like, oh. So does everyone remember the Build Your Own Adventure books, where you'd read a paragraph and it'd say, if you want your hero to take this action, go here. If you want your hero to take this action, go there. And then you follow it through and you create your story, Build Your Own Adventure, through this book. And there's, I could go into, and you'd keep your thumb in where the previous was. So if you pick the wrong choice, you'd just go back rather than redoing the book. All of that. Rollback in a procurement process, anyone? Hey. But when I was thinking about it, I thought, God, what a great analogy for how this is, because it is build your own adventure. You can choose what you put into your competitive flexible process. So think about that question again. Do they really think that SMEs are going to bid on multi-stage CFP procurements and that they have the resources to do so? You have the power to control that. GCF don't. They're not designing your procurement processes for you. You are the person who gets to design what that process looks like. And if you design it in such a way that it's really long and really clunky and there's lots of hoops and it takes 10 years, MOD, I'm looking at you guys, but the power to design CFP, the clue is in the title, it's a flexible competitive process. We get to design what we want into it. The only things that we need to be sure of is this going to give us what we need? Is this going to give us an outcome that we can stand behind and have confidence in? And have we got enough stages in there to enable us to get to that point? Those are the only two questions we should be asking. The rest of it, if we're sitting there and go, oh, we're going to add this stage in and this stage, and we've got a pick list of 16, there's more than that, by the way, that's not the only list, people looking at templates. We've got a pick list of 16, doesn't mean you put all 16 in. It also doesn't mean you just put one in, because that's an open procedure. But do you get what I mean? Can SMEs bid on this? Yeah, they can. And they should. And they should want to. And here's the thing. This is not just, hey, SMEs, come and bid on it. There's a really big piece of the Act. In fact, I'm going to get my Act. Get my copy of the Act. Those who've been on my deep dives know, you guys know, I have a printed copy because I'm that kind of girl. I love a printout that's got obviously extra bits of paper in it to translate some of this into, regular human English. I've got tabs, I've got highlights, I've got everything. It's all in here. So let's talk about what we have to do. We have to have regard for the barriers that are faced by SMEs. Having regard for the barriers faced by SMEs does not mean, hey, SMEs, come and bid on this. It doesn't mean publishing a notice on the Central Digital Platform. By the way, that's fine, a tender service. I think we can stop calling it Central Digital Platform now. I'm very opinionated today. Right, covered procurement objectives. Here we are. I quote this all the time. I've even highlighted 12.1D. 12.1D states, by the way, acting and being seen to act with integrity. That's where transparency comes from. And we should be striving for that anyway. We're public servants. It's the damn job. We should be doing that anyway. If you are trying to encourage SMEs, it's on you to design a process that does that. Nobody else. As complicated as you choose to make it. I'm very opinionated today. Because that lit a fire under my arse, because I sat there and went, I completely get it and I completely understand that I've been that person. And I think that there's a wealth of misinformation that's being put out there at the moment. Where was I? So yeah, I understand. I get it. So, are SMEs going to bid on it? Yeah. If we give them the entire framework to do so. And back to part 2 of the Act, section 12, covered procurement objectives, part 4. Or section 4, or whatever you want to call it. It's 12.4. In carrying out a covered procurement, i.e. anything that was old school owed you, a contracting authority must have regard to the fact that small and medium enterprises may face particular barriers to participation and consider whether such barriers can be removed or reduced. So if you are creating an 18-stage procurement process for something that you could do in 2, with the greatest of respect, that's a you problem. It's not a central government problem. It is not a policymaker problem. That's you. That's your organisation. That's what you guys have determined is proportionate. And if you're sitting there listening to this and saying, well, we need 18 stages because compliance, I'm going to invite you to wash your mouth out with soap. Procurement's role is not compliance. That's a compliance manager's role. That's not procurement's job. Procurement's job is to take the problem the company's got and find the people who will fix it. That's kind of it in a nutshell. There's elements of for the right price, at the right quality and all that stuff. But here's the problem. Procurement know everybody in the business and everybody outside of the business. They're the only function that connects with literally everybody. So they will find who can fix that problem. This is going to have to be a supplier. Brilliant. We need to go out and procure a supplier. Or, actually, we have that internally over here in another function that we've already bought. We can just add that onto the contract. Or you don't actually need to do this because, Jen down in IT has already built this, so why don't we just insource it? Yeah. Are they going to bid? Do they have the resources to do so? It's on us to make sure that they can bid and that they can bid with the resources that they have. And pre-market engagement, all roads lead back to procurement planning. They'll give us the ability to do that. So there you go, Solutioneers. That's my little rant for today on what I think are some problems we've got going on. Happy to continue to share my uncensored thoughts as part and parcel of this forum. Listen, that's what you get for. But that's my thoughts. What are your thoughts? What do you think? I'm always curious on this, of what people actually genuinely think. If you want to comment on the YouTube video, by the way, if you've got a username that no one can find you from and you're trying to keep it a little bit incognito, entirely fine. Do feel free to do that. You can comment on the LinkedIn post that will be attached to this. Who knows, I might go on TikTok eventually. But in the meantime, Solutioneers, happy solutioneering.